Hey guys, welcome to The Identity Shift. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another segment of The Identity Shift. And I am your girl, Tia Upshaw, your host, your friend, your family, your sister. And today we have with us is Vanesse Lewis. Now, let me tell you guys, I interviewed Vanesse months ago on my radio show through CIOE 97.5, and I could not wait to get her back on the podcast because her story is inspirational. She's inspirational. I wanted you guys to really get a great feel of who Vanesse is. So, welcome, Vanesse. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad to be back, Tia.
Me too. I'm so glad to have you. So, for anybody who didn't listen to the radio segment way back when, I think it was in, God, maybe
I think
May?
February, or was it May? I
March?
don't
I don't even know. It was a
know.
while ago. It was a while ago. So for those who didn't get a chance to listen, let the audience, let the listeners, the watchers, whoever is peeping in, know a little bit about who Vanesse is.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Vanesse. I'm the author and founder of this little book right here. And our brand is called Naya's Coily World. The book is a longer title, Naya Hatten, Let's Get Those Coils Crowned in Satin. So this is our little character here, and she's got a big afro. And that's really where our story begins. It's about empowerment, hair empowerment for our Black community.
Yeah, I every time I look at the cover, I'm like, it's so cute. Like she's cute, and she almost resembles you in a sense, Vanesse.
Right? She's my inner child. I tell
Okay, that
everyone.
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. 'Cause I'm looking, I'm like, she actually like her nose, her eyes, like she resembles you.
Right? Yes, it was intentional.
Yeah, I love it. So let's jump into what motivated you to write number one, a children's book, because that's very difficult. You have to hone in on it. I'm an author myself, but my books are not for children because I know what it takes to have a child want to read your book and have a parent want to buy the book for their child. So what motivated you or inspired you to do this?
So I think it's really around two things: my personal story, and then also being a braider. So I'll start with my personal story. So for many Black people, of course, we experience otherness in different ways
Mm,
going through life. And for me, that really hit home with my hair. So growing up, I didn't. Started chemically processing my hair probably about grade 6, so I was probably like 10 or something. And ever since then, I was wearing my hair in straight styles and really conforming to what I thought the beauty
yeah.
standard was. And finally, in my adulthood, just by accident, really, I went back to my natural hair, and I was expecting to have like these loose, flowing curls, like
Oh,
what I
of
saw
course.
on TV, right? And I didn't have that. I had tight, coily, kinky hair, and I was just like, huh. It was really an awakening for me. I was scared. I didn't know like if it was acceptable at work. I didn't know if my friends would
That's a
accept
big
it to
one.
look on me. So luckily, my family, my friends were really, really supportive. Like they always complimented my hair. It gave me that approval and that validation, and it just made me feel very supported. So that was really nice. But at work, even today, I'm still like, oh, like
Really?
yeah, like wearing my hair like this. I'm like, is this distracting? Like sometimes I'll put it back in a bun. Like it's a thing still, and it's a journey. And so that's part of why I'm like, we need to continue to promote awareness about this and normalize Afro hair in pop culture. So now as a braider, I was getting a lot of questions from parents and even kids like about their hair. And I realized because of this lack of awareness and representation for us, it has a whole host of other problems where there's a gap in the hair care industry of people who know how to take care of our hair. And that means
Yeah.
we don't know how to take care of our hair. So even when I went natural, I had to learn how to take care of my coils compared to how I was taking care of my
If
straight
you're
hair.
naturally straight, yeah, you're
Ex-
processed straight here.
Exactly. So those two things are really what brought this journey together, this platform together. I wanted to bring representation and education on hair care, like proper hair care, so that we can have thriving, beautiful hair.
Absolutely. And you know what when you said about your hair, you thought you would have like flowing curls or whatever. People mistaken that because I'm fair skinned that my hair is going to be naturally flowy, easy curl, you run your fingers through. And I wouldn't say my hair is as tight as yours, but it's pulled back because it is distracting. So I did a video yesterday for the organization, and everybody was like, "Your hair is naturally curly," because I always flat iron it, right? I don't do relaxers, but I always flat iron, and I was like, yeah. They were like, oh, it's curly, curly. And I was like, what did you guys expect? But it's true. You think it's going to be away. When it's wet and it's full of product, it's quite manageable. But as soon as that girl dries,
Exactly. So can
yeah,
we talk about that? What you've just touched on is the intersection of colorism and texturism, where we, because of again the beauty industry, the Eurocentric standards, all these things that we've internalized, we believe that if you're light skinned, you won't have textured, thick, coily textured hair. But actually, in reality, we can.
we do. We do. Like, I mean, mine's pulled back, but right here it's really thick because underneath it's really, really curly, and you can still see it's just pulled back because I didn't want it to be distracting on the podcast, to be quite honest. And because the color of it is it just looks like a big blonde poof, right? But it is so true with regards to colorism, and I get it all the time. Those people just assume because I'm fair skin and have green eyes that my hair is like
There you go.
flowing. I'm like, no, girl, no. I mean, now I do have staff. Shout out to my staff. They are two of them are Caribbean, Jamaican, and one of them is from Africa, and their hair is totally different than mine, as you can expect. But they always joke and say, "Oh, you got that, flowing hair. Your hair is good," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, maybe compared to your guys's, but compared to society's, no, it's not. No, it's
Exactly.
not.
Exactly. So yeah, this is really what it's about. Just bringing awareness to the different textures, but that like colorism is, and that's why Naya is a light skinned little girl because I
Yes.
wanted to share that. I want to know that she doesn't like. We don't always have to have a dark skinned girl with afro hair because that's not the reality. So yeah,
No. Well, people say it is. Venice, I'm going to go back to the children's book thing because you could have wrote this book for youth, for teens too. Why do you specifically target children?
so I have a love for young children, and I think what I want to see here is the next generation being supported to change this narrative.
Yeah.
So a lot of us are already, I want to say, it's maybe too late for us. I don't know if that's the right word, but a lot of us have already dealt with this. But I want the next generation to have an opportunity to have a different way. And so let's
Mm.
start from scratch. And I think they can learn so much. They have so much to soak up. So just my love for young children and an opportunity to share this with a younger audience, I thought it just made sense.
Yeah, and it does. I'm glad you clarified it a bit because when you said it, I'm like, well, she could have done a book for youth. She could have done a book for teens. She could have done a book for adult women who are still struggling. There are adult women out there who are still struggling
Absolutely.
with hair care and what's acceptable in society and how they look. I know for me, where I'm in the limelight a lot, and I do the CTV segment I have called Tuesdays with Tia. I do struggle on Tuesday mornings, I should say Monday nights. How's my hair going to be for,
Mm-hmm.
mainstream TV, early morning TV? Am I
Mm-hmm.
going to let it go naturally curly? Am I going to pull it back? And I don't think I have yet left it naturally curly. And that segment's been going on for a year next month. And I've always had it pull back like this or straight, honestly. So now you have me thinking, this book should have been out, for me when I was younger. Not only to empower me as a young child, but to educate my mom
Right.
on what is
Exactly.
acceptable and how I should embrace my hair.
Exactly. And then another thing is, I recently heard a stat that hair discrimination can be faced as early as age 5. So I thought,
5 years old.
yeah. So I said, you know what? We've really got to do something about this. Yeah. We want our children to be empowered. We don't want to see another generation of people who are struggling and having these questions daily about, is my hair tasteful for work? It's so sad that we deal with that, Tia, but I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly
It
what you
is, and my segment's a little bit different because it's the first time that CTV Morning Atlantic has ever had diversity. Um,
mean.
to the extent that I do it, where I bring on so many different Black, Indigenous, and people of color businesses, that I'm just like, do I want to be too Black? Like, do I want? It's a
Mm.
hard struggle.
You said it right there. Exactly. Oh,
Oh, maybe I need to go through my inner child, get your book and read it, and get with it. But it is a struggle, and that stat that you just listed, it's sad because my youngest, I shouldn't say it's just that, it's true too. My youngest has different hair texture from my middle daughter. They're two girls. And my middle daughter has hair like mine, probably even finer. It's quite long. It's in the middle of her back. And my youngest daughter has hair just like you, Venice. And when she was around 6 years old, when she started wanting to know why is her hair not like her sister's, why is her hair not can't go straight, why is it like this? And she's been getting her hair braided since she was 5 years old, and she's 17.
Oh, I'm so touched.
I don't think anybody has ever seen her natural hair like at a
Hmm.
natural state without having braids, or hair extensions and weaves, and it's a thing.
Oh, I'm so touched by that, and it really is a thing.
Oh
So
my goodness. Well, let's not be sad about it. We're working on it. This is what we're doing. See, let us know a little bit about, Naya Hayton.
so
Who is she? What is she?
Naya is a coily haired girl inspiring a coil savvy world. She wants us to live our best lives. So she wants the world to know outside of the black community that we have coily kinky hair, not just curly hair, but coily kinky hair. And I share this because I've been in rooms, I work in the corporate world, where people didn't understand the words that I used to describe my hair. And so I used the word kinky one time to a coworker, and they thought I was talking about something else onto
Of
work.
course they would. Yes.
And I'm like, no, no, that's
No.
how I describe my hair. Like it's a kinky, spongy texture, and so I thought, there needs to be more awareness. We need
Mhm.
to reach out to people outside of our community because regardless if we're still learning in our community and we're embracing it more, and there is a lot more representations. Like we've made a lot of milestones, but outside of our community, there are still people who are oblivious, and
I
it's
can imagine that
it's
conversation. I could imagine if I would have loved to be a fly in the room on that wall in that room because that term does not resonate with our hair. It's not traditionally been used for our hair. So when you said it, they're probably like, "What do you mean by that? Like your hair is kinky. Your hair gets into situations. I don't know. What do you mean?"
exactly. Literally, she gasped and laughed, and I'm like, okay, hold on, relax. Okay, not going anywhere over there. No, no, no. So
Oh
yeah,
my goodness.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. This conversation I wish was had in schools, in daycares, not just in households. I mean, your book is out. You're going to get it out there more and more. Like I said to you earlier, I follow you on Instagram, and I love your content. You post constantly. We don't have to worry about Venice or Naya going anywhere anytime soon. With the book that with the Naya's Coily World, you use like language that children can adapt to and understand. And I think when I was doing the research, it was around like you use a little rhythm and rhymes language in there. And is that because you want to throw in the culture, or is that you want to be more, accessible for children? Why did you go that route and not just use layman terms?
So one, I want it to be digestible. So I am using
Mm,
words that are for the culture in there. And even like when I go to the schools, I say I'll describe it. I say, have you heard of the word coily? And some of them will put up their hands, some of them are iffy. And I said, does it sound like something else? Curly? I said, exactly. But think of it more like a phone cord or your charger cable that gets sometimes tangled. My hair gets more
I
tightly
know.
coiled. Yeah, and so I'm trying to find a way to break it down for them. And so I wanted it to rhyme so it could be digestible, light, and fun. So when I read the book to them, we're kind of enchanting, we're going together, and it makes it more fun for them. And I realized it's been effective that way. So yeah, I was very intentional about making it light.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I love that word intentional. If you ain't intentional about anything you're doing, don't do it. Please be intentional about the change. And that brings me to the next part of this beautiful glossary that you have in this book. And I'm not going to give it away. You can give it away. But why is the glossary so different? Why is that so exciting? Um, what is in your glossary, Venice?
Oh my gosh, I love this question. So one, when I say that, my platform is about empowerment, I repeat it. It's about representation and education, and the
Yeah.
education piece is so needed because again, there's things within our community and outside our community that people don't understand, like shrinkage. My hair can
Oh,
shrink. If I have a certain style, it might be a larger puff. If I have another style, it might be shrunken, and people don't understand that
mine.
and there you go. So I wanted to bring this word to the fore and protective styles. When I go to the schools, I teach kids like this is what I might call a protective style. It's a braid style. Like, I want you to become familiar with the term. So the glossary will define a term and then give a tip. So when we talk about
Wow.
shrinkage, when we talk about shrinkage, I'll explain what it means that a person with afro type hair, their hair can shrink up to 70% of its length. So even in the book, we show an image of Naya's mom stretching her hair because Naya's like, how come I just washed my hair, mom, and it shrunk? And her mom says, no, it's your healthy coils retaining the moisture. So we talk about moisture and how
Wow.
when your hair is moisturized, shrinkage is a healthy sign. So we teach about that in the glossary, and then we just talk about shrinkage can create tangles in your hair because your hair is wrapping against each other. So there are things that you need to do to help
Mm-hmm.
create a thriving hair. And so it's just the education piece. And the really like someone actually when I was at a vendor event the other day, they said to me, I think you need to put a sticker on your book that says this part at the back is there. Like literally highlight education in the glossary at the back.
I think you should because number one, I didn't know it was 70% as a
Mm-hmm.
black woman,
Mm-hmm.
and it should be something you should be proud of because it shows that your hair is healthy. And I hate when I wash my hair and I come out and it's like a little jerry curl, like a
Right,
little.
right?
I'm like, what the heck?
Who is
And
in this
then
world?
I hate it. But if it didn't do that, then my hair would be damaged. It wouldn't. So
Exactly. Yeah. So
okay. And I have friends, literally, Vanessa, and you probably do too, whose hair does shrink 70%. I have friends that their hair is like to their shoulder length, and they're like, that's not how long my hair is. And they'll take their hair and go like this. I'm like, girl, you got
exactly.
hair. And she was like, yes.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. So yeah, I remember even like when I was in high school and I would see friends going natural and I was so confused. I was like, first of all, I thought something was wrong with it. Like they were going through
Yeah.
something personal.
Yeah, me too. I'm like,
And
why
then
are
I'm
you
like,
doing
how
that?
come their hair is never growing? Like it's been like that for like oh
Denise, you sound like me.
so the education is so important because if I felt that way, think of people who don't know my hair. Like they're confused.
It's oh my god, I used to do that, but like her hair's been the same length. Why is your hair not straight? Are you not able to go to the salon? Like I would look at them like they were crazy. But I never had to go through the natural state. I just never did the relaxer thing, right? So I just assumed their hair was the way their hair was 'cause I didn't know the difference, especially in junior high and high school.
Right.
Back in the 90s, no one was educating us on anything on hair except for just get your hair done. Get a hot comb on a Sunday night or whatever, get your hair done for the week.
That's it. That's literally it.
Well, I'm wondering, like, you have a children's book, and I would like to have this conversation get bigger and bigger and bigger. Even though you have a children's book, how are you looking to contribute and start conversations around your book? Because Denisha's children, are we working with the parents or the schools? Are you doing a lot of that right now?
Yes. So since we've launched, I think I've worked with 5 different schools and 2 libraries.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
congrats.
Yes. It's been really great. I've been in Indigo a couple times too. And what my next thing is to really. So now I'm starting a live series with stylists. So one of the things I talked about is that there are not a lot of stylists who know textured hair. So I'm based in the GTA, Toronto,
Yeah.
Ontario. And so I'm now connecting with stylists who focus on textured hair, and I'm going to start spotlighting them in my newsletters, but also doing a weekly IG live series where we learn about them, learn where they're situated in Toronto, and just hearing about them so that people have the opportunity to say, oh, this is someone that works in my area. Let me go get their services. Let me learn about my hair because I want to be almost a vessel to accessing resources within our community.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes. So continue to share the word through schools. Definitely, that's something I'm working to continue to do. Libraries, but also just providing the resources within the community. Like this is where you can find hair care support.
And I mean, the fact that you're in Toronto, see, this is the thing. You're in Toronto, you're in Ontario, and I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and we always had this, thing where Toronto is further than us, they're more diverse than us, and you still have to work with stylists who are not educated on, the different cultures and different hair textures. Because I'm not going to say black hair because I hate when people say that because I know, women that are not black and their hair is the same texture as mine. It's just
Exactly.
curly, kinky
True.
hair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, we actually have, a cultural association for hair, and it's actually a mandate to learn how to work with ethnic hair or kinky curly hair, a part of your hair license. I can send you the link on it later on, Denise. But
Please.
Yeah, a few black hairstylists here started this association a while back, and it came into legislation for rules and regulations around having your hair license in the province of Nova Scotia. It is a thing now here.
That's amazing. We don't have that in Ontario. There are two stylists that I know who are actually actively working to get that into
Yeah.
the curriculum, and we don't have that. And that, as you said, like Toronto is usually more advanced, and yet
Oh
we
my
don't.
God, I can't believe this. Like, and I mean, you may, like I said, I'll send you the link of their Facebook, Instagram, and all that stuff, so you can get a sense of what it is. And there, you may want to have a conversation with them around, what's going on and what's the difference. You see a difference since the association came out,
Absolutely.
and the fact that we always idolize Ontario. We are always like, oh my God, they have so much up there, so much cultural diversity, and yet this little, province of Nova Scotia. But I will say, I think it contributes to the fact that Nova Scotia has the biggest Indigenous Black community in all of Canada. Uh, that's what we're known for. Migrated here, slaves from slavery, 400 years. The Black community's been here, so I think that's why. And with Toronto, it's more of the people who immigrate in. So I think that could be why the Indigenous Nova Scotian people were tired of people not knowing how to do our hair.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
But I like that you're doing what you're doing, and I'm imagining the feedback is good. Please tell me it is. And what type of feedback are you getting from this, Denise?
Oh my God. So let me share a story from two points of view. So from the child and the parents.
Oh, I like that.
And so I think it was my first reading ever actually at a school. And so I'm reading the story, I go through the story, share the terms, talk about Naya's. So the story is of Naya's wash day. She's going to wash her hair for her big day. And we don't tell what the big day is. Kids get excited for what her big day is. And so we're reading the story, and I see this one little girl in the audience, a black girl, and her eyes are locked on me, and I can just feel it. Anyway, finish the book. The kids are all high-fiving me. They're saying goodbye. They're leaving the room, and she just comes over to me and she just hugs me. And she
Wow.
felt seen. She felt heard. She felt represented, and I could just feel that all in that little embrace. And there were no words to explain that. And I just said, "Oh my gosh, there's a reason I'm doing this." And I just love that moment. I'll never forget that moment. So
Oh
that
my
that
goodness.
that was the best feedback I could get to date. But parents or adults, like when they see me at like vendor events, they're like, "Oh my gosh, like where was this when I was a kid?" Or "This is so needed." And oh, all those kind of comments. They're like, "Oh," and when the one I said that niece said, "You need to put a sticker at the front of the book. Like this education piece is so big."
It's
So,
so valuable.
so yeah, the feedback has been really, really nice.
Good. I just want to make sure I shouldn't assumed it was good, but I can imagine that it wouldn't be bad because, as the parent said, where was this? Where was this when we were kids? And for me, where I have my kids quite young, where was this? 28 years ago when I had my first child. It just, wasn't a thing. You just throw a relaxer in and send them on their way, right?
Exactly.
And it's sad. And it's now, if as a parent, as a black parent, with black children and daughters, when you know better, you do better, yes. But then when you know better, you kind of feel like you gypped them out of an opportunity to embrace their hair.
Exactly.
So
And
that's where I'm at with it.
no, don't beat yourself up. It's all a journey.
Where were you at, girl? Where were you at? Where were you living 28 years ago? Oh my goodness. So the highlight for me is not just, Naya and her life, but the highlight that for people who are not going to even believe it, you illustrated and wrote this yourself. That's unheard of. Usually you partner up with someone or collaborate with someone to do illustrations while you do the content or vice versa. Um, how was that process for you?
You know what? This was really a passion project, a story of love for me. I had a message to share, and it all started with a big fro. And I wanted to be in control of this message and in control of the story. And I love
Wow.
art. So I said, let's put these two passions together. I love hair. I love my journey. I love creating. And to be honest, I hadn't done any art since probably like I was in my early 20s, and now I'm in my late 30s. But I was inspired, so I picked up what do we call a pencil, and I started drawing the story.
That's
I had to
amazing.
relearn watercolor because I did it in watercolor, and then I did work with a graphic designer to just put it all together in a book because I didn't know how to get my drawings onto a format that could be
Oh
put.
no, that's hard.
Yeah, so I did work with someone after that, but yeah, no, it was a beautiful experience for me to just share my story in its full way through the illustration and through the writing.
So you love artistry, but are you an artist? Were you like into that during school? Like have you always like I like art too, girl, but you could not see me illustrate no book, Denise.
So in elementary school, I was really heavy into art. I did win the art award back when I was like, I think in grade eight.
Wow.
But as I got older, I just kind of fell out of it. You know, you go with new interests, you're and your friends and other kind
That's
of
true.
things. In university, I did do a fine arts history major, and that's kind of where it ended for me. So I took the fine art history, and then I don't know, I just never looked back. So this was an
And here you
opportunity.
are.
Exactly. So yeah, I was really inspired. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, what were some of the challenges besides, getting your illustrations into a format? What were some of your other challenges with this book? It could be, societal challenges, access to capital, like anything along that line, or was it just plain easy for you?
You know what? Self-publishing is not for the weak.
No,
So
it is not. All
I
of mine
did,
are self-published.
right? So I did try to reach out to publishers, and they basically most of them say like, if you don't hear back within 3 months, you're not gonna hear back.
And
So
you don't
tried
hear
that
back.
exactly. So tried that route, and I said, you know what? I want to share this message, and I don't mind being in control of it. So we're gonna learn this. So I did reach out.
Mm-hmm.
I had the opportunity to reach out to some great mentors who helped me guide me along the way. So I really say I wouldn't have had a book without them, and that's why I love the opportunity to have mentors. Like if anyone is starting a business, doing books, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to share what I've learned.
Oh, absolutely. Well, now you said that, one of my team members are going to be in your email because we're looking for to add some new mentors to our list for our mentorship initiative. And we want a different collective amount of mentors. We don't want the same, like just you're in business or you're in the food industry. We want lawyers. We want IP specialists. We want authors. We want artists, musicians, or painters. We want a slew of it because
Yeah,
entrepreneurship is so diverse now that you can take your passion project and turn it into a business very easily.
exactly. And then on top of that, another thing with it is like ISBNs, barcodes,
That was
formatting,
so hard.
vector files,
Oh my
pre-flighting.
God.
I had
You're
to
giving me a
learn
headache.
all this
You're
stuff.
you're
Yes.
giving me a headache thinking about it because literally I self-published all of mine and I didn't know jack about anything you were talking about. I had to Google, I had to call this one, I had to, oh my gosh. And I find when you're self-published, there's not a lot of people out there who are self-published who are willing to work with you to tell you how to.
Exactly.
They don't.
Exactly. So I got really lucky by finding someone who was able to support me with no issues. So yeah.
Kudos to that person. Thank you. I
Yes.
want to thank you. Not Denise, thank you. Tia, thank you because
Right?
and it will just keep going into the community. Like that person help you, you help someone, and that person you help
Exactly.
Denise will help somebody else, and then we'll have a whole bunch of black women and black men out there who have are self-made authors or self-published authors. And I only asked you that because you mentioned earlier about Indigo. And I know Indigo does sometimes do self-publishing or publishers in Nova Scotia. But chapters and the rest of them, mm-mm. So what I know people have done, and not black people, white people, colleagues of mine who are self-publishers, they've actually went and registered a publishing company
Oh,
and ran their book through that publishing company, and they got in chapters within 4 months. Couldn't believe it. So they've actually told me how it's actually done. They literally are self-published. They did their book. They went and registered a book publishing company with their registry of joint stocks in their province, and they ran their book through this publishing company. It's a holding company, and they were able to get in chapters.
listen, I'm all about that. I
I
love
couldn't
that.
even believe it. I'm like, I'm one for a hustle, but I don't even know how I didn't even catch on to how to do that. Why I
Right?
didn't think of it. Didn't even think of it until she's about 60 years old, older white lady, and she was like, "That's how I did it with all my books."
Yeah.
Because when you're a publishing company, they're not going to ask you.
No.
You're a publishing company, and they want give them a book that you want to then to put on their shelves, and you just got to go through the process. You
Exactly.
have credibility when a publishing
Exactly.
company takes you on.
And Tia, you know what that does? That open access gives you open. opens you access to more than that, like awards and grants,
Everything,
a whole, like,
everything, everything. I see all over Instagram of authors, published authors, awards, grants, and I'm
exactly,
like, I can't qualify for any of them because I'm self-published,
exactly.
and I found out a year ago. Now you would think I would take that and run with it and do what I'm supposed to do, but I never had a chance to yet. But don't be surprised if you see a publishing company that has Tia's books underneath them, because that will be my
Of
next move. But yeah,
course,
literally, you should look into it, Venice.
I definitely will.
She says, Tia, that's how we do it, and I said, who we? She said, we as white women.
Hmm. I get it. I
I
see it.
was like, okay, girl, give me all the tea. And she sat
Right?
me down and spent 2 hours with me and walked me through it all.
That's beautiful. Okay.
Absolutely. So there's a little bit of tea for you today.
I like it.
Um, is I'm wondering what the long term. Well, I'm not wondering. I know everybody else is. Naya's going to get older, obviously. What is the long term goal for Naya? What do you see for Naya? What happening?
So, to be honest, I have a big dream for Naya. I
Good.
want to, and I'll just put it out there because, why not? I'd like to become a licensed character brand where it's more than a book.
Oh,
It is something that competes with like Disney characters. Like Naya is here sharing the story. She's bringing cultural perspective to the world. We want to normalize black hair in children's play. So we definitely want to create a space outside of just our book. So we are gearing up to do a second book. It's already in the works,
good.
which continues to share Naya's journey. But yeah, I'd like to step outside of a book and get into children's play sector.
Oh, you should. You should do like even to start off. I would do a small little play, a live play, and then that's
Ooh,
how most of these actresses end up getting these big. That's how Tyler Perry started.
ooh.
I'm just saying, Denise. I would actually fly down to watch that play. I actually would come. Um, that would be everything, Denise.
I'm writing that down.
So is Naya gonna have like a? Does she have a sister or a brother?
So the second book, she introduces a brother, and he is, yeah, he's gonna share with her some of his tips. He's older than her, just a little older, and she's going through. So, I won't say too much because I don't want to give it all away.
No, don't share too much. But I'm just happy she had a brother.
Yeah, she introduces a brother into it, and it just continues around the hair anxieties we have in the world as black people, and it brings in another element. So in this element, I'll say it introduces sports. Some of the conversations we've seen during the Olympics, how hair is a yeah. So just wink wink.
I love that, and I love when we talk about sports. I made a post not too long ago, and I said we celebrate black men when they're in the sports for football and basketball, but why aren't we selling? Not even celebrating black men, youth too. But why aren't we celebrating the same ones who are into sciences, into STEM, into tech? Um,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that is something that I'm really passionate about diving in more and having conversations around in general. So I can't wait to see what you come up with this and the Olympics and girl, all of that. I just seen someone did a TikTok not too long ago about Simone Biles,
Mm,
and the TikTok was coming back at someone else who was talking about Simone's hair.
there you go. There you go.
I said, I'm not reading this right, am I? I had to actually go to the actual creator, the original creator, and they actually did a video. I was like, why is her hair ain't never done? Wow, she's doing tumbles, flips, tricks, and everything else, and you guys are worried about. She couldn't believe it. You guys are worried about her hair?
This is it. This is it. So we need to change that
We
narrative.
need to change the
Yeah,
narrative.
it's really internalized, and we need to break that. We need to break it.
Oh, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. With the expansion that you're going to go through, which you can't say too much about, and I totally respect that. Are you looking to really enhance the impact with regards to the natural hair, stigma for children and youth? Are you doing anything with regards to facilitating, teaching, workshops?
I'm glad you asked that. So, since we launched, I've actually hosted two workshops, and just yesterday I learned that I won a grant to host another one. So, yeah, so my goal is to continue to keep the community element. I want to have at least one or two workshops per year that allow just small workshops that really give an opportunity to delve into topics. So it'll always have a component of hair, but like an activity. So I'm thinking like coils and crochet, where the kids will hear about hair,
Girl, that's everything.
products, but then also make some crochet, I don't know, styling accessories or something like that. So that's what I'm working on. But yeah, I want to continue to have that community element. And yeah, that's a big part of what I want to do.
I like that. I like that. I mean, if you ever think about it, if you want to even have a workshop or an event with adult females, coils and cocktails, you never know, right? Um,
Ooh, Friday night.
In Toronto, that would actually fly real easy.
I love that.
Yeah, that would fly easy. The women would come out natural state, looking top tier. They would. They would.
Tia, I'm taking that. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
absolutely like. Let me know when you do it. Just make sure you
I
post it so I
will.
can. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, like literally. I love everything you do, Venice, in your artistic ways of changing the narrative and creating intentional impacts. Is smooth. Like you're not like out there rah, 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 fighting diversity, equity, and inclusion and preaching all the time. You're
Yes.
doing something that's so subtle, but
Yes.
it's huge.
Yes, I like how you put it that way. That's exactly it. And what I always say is that I'm using joy as a form of resistance. We don't have to be angry. We don't have to be the
No.
mob. I tell Naya's story as a way where she overcomes her challenges. I want her to celebrate and make this a fun experience for people, because when we're angry, we don't always get our point across the right way.
No.
Yeah,
No, you don't. Number one, people block you out. If someone's talking to me angry, I may be looking at them beneath, but I'm literally shut off. Like I'm like, I am not even listening to this BS. I will stand here. So I want you to think I'm listening. Um, I shut right down.
literally, exactly. So, yeah, that's really it.
Oh wow, okay. I'm excited. I'm excited. Yeah, keep me posted on the quills and cocktails or anything you're doing. Just make sure you keep on posting like you're posting.
For sure.
Now, if there was an author, an artist, or particularly who want to get into books, let's say authors, and they were young, old, black, indigenous, doesn't even matter. What is some of the top three advice pieces that you would give to them if they were looking to become an author?
So one thing, I think it's really important to find opportunities to share your message. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I found that so I was just actually on CTV on Friday for World Afro Day. So having the opportunity to
Yeah.
connect your message to whether it's an international day or something really helps with getting publicity. So have a strong message with your story. Don't just write a story for the purpose of it. I think having a story behind it really helps to resonate with people. Once you have a story, that allows you to do so much more with it. So yeah, have a good story. But then there are so many resources. Like Fiverr is a great place to
Mm-hmm.
find illustrators, to find book formatting, people who will put things in a position for you. There are a lot of various printing companies. I'm happy to share some of those that are affordable. So, but the thing, the most thing is just have a strategy that has an intentional story behind it, because that's where you'll really be able to leverage the different pieces that you need to for marketing, because marketing is a big piece of
It is.
getting your book out there.
Yeah, you're doing it in the soft girl era way. Like you're soft with it, but I'm telling you, like if you were on the outside looking in at your social media and your marketing and the message you put out there, it's so softly done. We don't even realize it's being put in front of us.
I like that. That perspective is really
No,
helpful.
like it really, really is, and everything about what you do, your personality. I just think you're in a soft girl era period for yourself. Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Um, you were talking about the marketing part, and I know as an author, we'll do anything to sell. Like we're gonna market the hell of it. We're gonna get on, CTV. We're gonna get on radio, wherever we have to do. We're gonna be out in schools, giving out free books at events, all these things.
Right.
You're gonna do it. Has there ever been a moment where you thought that maybe I should change the direction I'm going in? Maybe I'll sell more if I do something different? What kept you on your task of the mission and the values you had for Naya from the beginning?
That's a very good question. One, pricing is something that I kind of go back and forth with. Like sometimes you might be at a vending event, you might feel like your people are not coming up, or they're interested, but then when you give them the price, they walk away. So I think you have to know what your value is. That's really what it is, and know what your book's worth. but also making sure you position it as something that is marketable and is aligns with your competitors. So that's definitely something. But marketing is a learning curve. Like even
Beast.
I'm right, and one thing that I've been working to push more is more influencer marketing. So working with influencers, but even that's tough. Pitching to them and getting a response back, and then actually having them post the content is it's a whole game. But there have been some wins for me there, leading to more purchases or just really great content to repost. So it's really finding your niche and finding what works. I don't know if I've figured out the answer for that yet. So that's I think it's a really great question though.
Yeah, working with influencers can be hard. I haven't tried that angle, but I've been approached to be an influencer. And the reason I mean from stores like Torrid, Penn, like a lot of different places. And I won't do it because I don't have the time to dedicate to making sure I do post. And I remember when one of them approached me for my podcast. But before I do the podcast, when I'm wearing the clothes, I have to say what I'm wearing. Like, I don't got to, I just want to come on and talk to the people. I don't want to stop and being like, oh, shirts from Torrid, shoes are from, Penn, or makeup's from Mac, or who is doing that every single time? So I can imagine how hard it is to find someone who is responsible and committed to being an influencer.
Exactly, exactly. And we'll be authentic about it because, as you said, if you start asking them to do certain things, it's like it changes the messaging.
It
So,
does. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And I mean, for what? Free clothes? I'm okay with buying the clothes. I have people send me messages. Oh, we have a new jewelry line. We see you're in all these different spaces. You're on CTV. You have your podcast. You're a facilitator. You're doing work at universities. That's our target. Are you able? We send you a bunch of jewelry. I'm like, no, thank you. And I have to say it very nicely. Like, it's not that I don't want your stuff. I don't think your stuff is good. What it is I don't want you to depend on me because I can't dedicate that time, Venice.
no, that's fair. That's really fair. And I think it's nice to just respectfully say it's not for me.
It's not for me. It may be fun. Like I'll mention something. Like if I'm at a pop up event and I see you, I'm gonna say, "Oh my God, Venice, can I get a selfie? Let me buy one of your books. Let's do a whole post." That's just who I am.
Exactly, exactly.
It's not forced. It's not paid for me to do it. That's just who I am. But for someone to depend on me to do that,
It's different.
heck no. So good luck with that. Keep your head down with that. You will find the right influencers, and I think you'll do fine with that. But marketing is a beast,
It's
especially for a book. It's easier to market myself as an individual than
right.
to market my books.
It's so true. It's so true.
Like you'll pay me $10,000 to do a keynote speaking engagement around my story, who I am, but you won't pay $19 to go to Amazon and buy my book.
This is what I'm saying.
My book is my story. It's my memoir. It blows my mind. It blows my mind.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Yeah,
you know the struggle.
we do that, girl. We definitely do know the struggle. Is there anything else that you'd want to add or let the listeners know? Number one and number two, how can people connect with Vanesse Lewis? How can people get more intimate and familiar with Naya? And where can people find you? Where are you at?
Well, firstly, I want to share that you should continue to embrace your natural hair. Whatever that might look like to you, wear it. Braids are beautiful, but sometimes step outside your comfort zone. So that's my message for you all. But please check us out on Instagram or our Facebook group, all at Naya's Coily World, or join my newsletter. This is where I spill the tea on things. This is where I'm going to be sharing the styling, the texture stylists who will be promoting over the next while
Oh,
and
wow.
sharing more information about them. And they're going to be dropping tips of what they think is great for your hair. So yeah, check me out in those places.
Of course we will, and I just have to add this. I don't even know why you said it because I was trying to narrow this down to the end, but you made a statement just a second ago about embracing your coily hair, your natural hair, whatever way it is. I don't know if you've seen how society is turning this, and it's almost like, you know, 20 years ago it wasn't acceptable to be plus size. Now it's acceptable to be plus size, but as long as you don't have a big belly and you just have a flat stomach and big hips. The same thing is happening with natural hair. It's okay to have natural hair as long as it looks like Venice's. But the minute it doesn't look like Venice's hair and it's like a little bit more matted or a little bit more textured, then it looks like unkept. And I'm like, we can't have a middle, you guys. It's either acceptable or it's not acceptable. And if it's not acceptable, let's find out why. I've been hearing certain things. They're like, oh my God, her hair looks messy. Well, because it doesn't look upkept, even though it's natural. And I use you, Beneath, because yours is beautiful. But I know women that don't go as far as you, but they're still in a natural state, and it's okay. They're beautiful women.
No, Tia, I love that you said this because my thing right now is I actually don't like to like gel it up like this. If you saw it more, like this is my texture, and I just leave it. Like I'm just not into smoothing it out. Like I don't feel the need to like I just don't. So this is what it looks like. It can look a little bit coarse and tough, but that's it.
That's
So
what you like. That's what you need. And
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it. So
yeah,
it's like people are scared to do it in between. It's like, oh, I want to have natural hair to poof on top, but I have to have all this greased up. We have to put the
no,
hair waxed. We have to get the edges down. This has to be smoothed out, and everything else can be messy and it's still sexy. No. Why can't your roots be just as kinky as your ends? What is the problem?
this is it. I love that you said that exactly.
Yeah, it's a fact. It's a fact. So I've been listening to that too, and I'm like, oh, now we're going through the hair shaming. We went through the fat phobia. Now we're going through the hair shaming. Her hair ain't clean kinky compared to her hair being clean kinky. What? It drives me nuts. Anyways, that could take us on to another whole rant on even us in our own communities doing that to each other, and we're not going to do that today. Again, I will put in contact information above. You'll see it come up above where you can contact her. I'll put some links with regards to how to get familiar with Naya and get to love the little girl. And then you'll be able to meet her brother as soon as that comes out.
Yes.
But I want to thank everybody for joining us today. It's always a great time to have on anybody who is, doing the damn thing in their industry. And Benice, you sure are doing it. And I'm really, really happy to have you back on for a second time. And I can't wait to have you back on for a third time when you get your play out there. When you have
That's
your play out
right.
there. We're going to speak that into existence. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for joining us at The Identity Shift. And I'll see each and every one of you guys next Friday. Make sure you tune in, follow us, subscribe to our Spotify and our YouTube, and follow us on Instagram. See you later, guys. Thank you for listening to Identity Shift. See everybody next week.